everything I see on your channel, it seems that you have reached different levels of success since you started your channel. And I'm not talking about just YouTube success. Things seem, from the outside, they seem to be going really good for you. Do you feel successful?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Our guest is Dylan from the Woodbrew channel. Dylan and Molly have a channel with over 149,000 subscribers. They've been doing this for a while, been very successful at it. It's got over 10 million views on the channel. And let's bring on Dylan. Hey Dylan, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, we're thrilled to have you. And I appreciate you making time out of your schedule. Now, we're going to talk about several things tonight, Dylan, but I want to start out with our topic of the night, and that is success. So everything I see on your channel, it seems that you have reached different levels of success since you started your channel. And I'm not talking about just YouTube success. Things seem, from the outside, they seem to be going really good for you. Do you feel successful?
Yeah, that's a tough question because, you know, if I was to look at where Molly and I are now as, say, you know, a teenage kid, I would be in our dream spot. So if I look at it from that standpoint, then yes, we are extremely successful. But with success, it comes slowly over time. It didn't happen necessarily overnight for us. So your success is like, you know, there's always a little bit more to be had as soon as you get to a certain plateau and spots. So like, yeah, I think we're successful, but I also see like our shortcomings and places that we can improve and definitely get a lot more out of what we're doing. I think we've barely, you know, seen the tip of the iceberg of what the content machine can create. But yeah, I definitely feel like we've gotten ourselves in a pretty good spot at a pretty early age.
Yeah. So you've been doing YouTube for 6 or so years, right?
Yep. Technically, I've been doing it for even longer than that because I probably started within a year or so of YouTube coming out. Small kid.
Yeah.
I have some somewhere deep on YouTube. I don't know if I have them privated or I don't think I ever deleted them, but I might could find them. I have some really cringy, very young Dylan videos, and they are building videos.
So what have you, whenever you started on this path and you had this vision in mind of, hey, I'm going to get to this level of success, and rarely does success come overnight with no effort. What was your plan? What was your model for success? How did you go from point A to point B? And I know we'll talk about the future, but how did you get to where you are right now? What's been your secret so far?
It's not really a secret. I think you know, luck plays into it, but I think honestly a lot of it's just pure like brute force. I mean, just not accepting failure, or really not accepting to not succeed, because failure is good and succeeding is just like such a large giant word. But what I really mean is, like, Molly and I typically, we are goal setters, but we typically look at way more big things. Feel like oftentimes when we get against a wall or like see the next horizon that we want to get to, a lot of times we just come up with a way to like force it out of ourselves. So like a really good example of that is when we started, we were seeing like a little bit of success, but not a lot. And we produced, in order to force ourselves into success, that first little milestone, we produced 30 videos in 30 days on our main channel. And every one of those videos was an entire start to finish build video, which I know sounds insane. And also we were making $0 at that point on YouTube, and we were trying to pay rent on a pretty big building. So it was a very costly endeavor. We were using like whatever scraps and random things we could find, materials, but we forced that to happen. And then we also at the same time made 30 more videos on our second channel, which is RIP, it no longer exists. But we made 60 videos is what I'm getting to. We made 60 videos in days, and that's how we forced it to happen. And that was on the heels of our very first sponsorship with Rockler. And honestly, that was the closest thing we've had to overnight success. We had a video, one of those videos following that go really well, and I can't recall what it was. We managed to shot to like 10,000 subscribers, and for us, it felt like overnight success.
Yeah, so that's awesome. It's got to be an awesome feeling to get that kind of boost. So you got started, and one of your videos, you talk about how whenever you were first starting, there were naysayers. There were those who said, you know, get a real job, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's every step of life. I've had that. So I'll go back up a little bit about my childhood, but I was a skateboarder and a maker when makers that wasn't really a term. And those two things were very weird. So basically my entire life was people telling me to do something. Luckily, it wasn't my immediate family. My parents' family have all been extremely supportive. More supportive than I would suspect most parents being, considering when we started doing what we're doing now, it was not a job. It was not recognized at all as a job like it is today. So yeah, we faced that at every step.
Yeah, and it's great to have that support behind you from family and friends. But no matter what people say, no matter what kind of support some people may give, or how the naysayers will try to bring you down, in the end, don't you have to look internally and decide for yourself what you're going to do and how you're going to persevere through the hard times so you can make it to the good times?
Yeah, see, I think I was very fortunate to very early on in my life have this very mature realization that life is so much more than following one simple, mundane path, that you can get a lot more out of life by just simply focusing on the things that make you happy instead of focusing on things that you think should make you happy. Two very different things. And I've always just tried to follow that. So I've always just tried to just do things that I want to do, and oftentimes that can bring in some adversity, because obviously that's not always easy, and that's usually not easy because not everyone's doing it. And I think when you look at life though in that way, everything becomes a little bit easier. So even though you have money problems because you're pursuing your passion, at least you're pursuing it. You probably would have had money problems regardless. Let's face it, everyone ends up in that position at some point in life, so you might as well be trying to get your own personal idea of what happiness. You should at least be going in that direction, because we're all still going to have the same issues.
I hear my wife calling. I gotta go.